So today we have William Blake. Do you know William Blake? Anything about him?
Well, kind of. I read maybe a couple of his poems, but that's all I knew them.
So he has some really famous poems, like The Tiger is the most famous. We discussed it some other day before. And there's something amazing about him, how he writes those seemingly very simple rhymes, and still they have a very great impact. My favorite is The Poison Tree. It's have you read it? A Poison Tree.
No.
Okay. So it's really short. I'd love to discuss it, but maybe it's just too short. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had wheeled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. So that's my favorite poem of his, but really he's got many. And today we're going to read...
Well, we can discuss this one. If you want to discuss this one, we can select two short points and just, do it on time.
Well, we can touch it. We can touch it because maybe it's not too long to have a complete different lesson on it, but I think it's good to have a look at it. So that's the link in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
So you can open the text and have a look at it. It's really impressive, and again you can see how it's done in a kind of a childish way, and the more powerful for it. Because if you're trying to hide behind some clever words and expressions, then you lose something. When you use this more childish style, it makes it more powerful and sincere, I suppose. So, okay, let's have a look at it then. What can you tell me about The Poison Tree?
Just for a second,
Is it a happy poem?
I feel like it's both philosophical and ironical at the same time. Because usually when we talk about hate and jealousy and all this stuff, we talk about that these feelings, they destroy us from inside, and they're bad, so it's bad to feel them. But at the same time, each of us experience like strong feelings at a certain point in life, and we can't get away from them because they're a part of the human nature. So,
yes.
And also as I understood, when he was talking about the tree and the apples, he was talking about these very strong feelings which grow inside you and which, bear the fruit. But even though it's a very obvious metaphor, it's still very powerful.
It is.
Yeah, and also I read that he was very into religion, but not into religion, but into faith. So apples, Bible.
Yeah, we all know the story. So is it the same apple as in the Bible?
I don't know. I I mean, I think it has some kind of affection, but at the same time, and I know he wasn't, well, he didn't like the religion and the system. So I don't think he was very stick to this idea of the apple as a symbol of the saint. I think he mostly used it as a symbol for the emotion.
Because maybe it's not the same apple. Because here we have the poisonous tree. In the Bible we have the tree of life. In the Bible, why did they take the apple? Mostly out of curiosity. And here it's a deliberate crime. Yeah, so it's like the dark version, dark side of the biblical story. It's all really angry on both sides. So we have the first stanza. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. So that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to keep anything inside you. And if you're angry with your friend, what do you do?
Well, I mean, you hate him for a little bit of time, but after that, you accept that you had a quarrel, that you had a disagreement, and, well, as Blake said, you can get over your feelings and go back to friendship.
Yeah. Sergey?
Well, I'm not the person who usually tells my wrath, if that's what you were asking about. And it concerns both friends and foes.
So sometimes when we're angry with a friend, we don't like it. We don't like being angry with friends, and we may pretend it's not there. But it doesn't go just because we pretend it's not there. So he says it's the best just to let it out, because then as it's out, it's harmless, and both of you know that it's not real, that you're not really that angry, just have some affection. And once you let it spoken, once you have it spoken, once you have it out, it can't do any harm, because you can see it. But when you concede it, then it's harmful. When you keep it, then it grows. And that's what happens when you're angry with your foe in this poem. Then, of course, we have this beautiful comparison. We have friend and foe. So the two words are really close in poetry. Friend, foe, foe. Yeah?
Yeah.
So there isn't that much difference. And if you're angry with your foe, again, he has a choice. He may do the same. He may let it out. He knows what happens if he lets it out. Then he's angry for a moment, and then it just goes into air. Okay? But he decides from the beginning, deliberately, I told it not. My wrath did grow. So that was his choice. So you always have a turning point, whatever business it might be, whatever emotion it might be, you always have a choice whether to go that way or not, to fall in love or not to fall in love, to be angry deliberately or not to be angry deliberately. You always have your tipping point. Then you decide, then maybe you can't change it. But there is always a moment when you can change it. It's somewhere in the beginning, here in the first stanza. And we see he has a choice, because he starts with telling the alternative story where he tells his wrath. Comments?
I'm not sure having the choice at all times.
We do.
It's presumes there's sort of free will.
You don't believe in free will?
No, I don't.
Huh?
Do we?
Well, if you don't believe in free will, then it means you're not believing in free will, not your belief at all, because you don't have a free will to start with. Then it doesn't really count.
That's true.
Well, I think you don't. Sorry, continue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think that, you don't have a choice if whom you fall in love. You don't have a choice of feeling or angry or not feeling angry, but you do have a choice whether you should develop your feelings into something bigger or not.
Oh, yeah.
What he talks about it, yeah, and also like he mentions the apple tree, and each tree needs to grow. To grow, it needs some effort. It needs the weather, it needs the water, the light, etc. So I think it's kind of the same. So he talks about like growing these feelings inside you, and you need to agree with yourself if you're feeling hate, jealousy, and wrath. Then you will grow these feelings, and they will take you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when I say you have a choice, then when it starts happening to you, yeah, you do have a choice whether you go into it and let it happen deep and real, or not to go into it and let it pass. It's a very, very old conception, which we find in like old Russian literature and classical Russian literature. It's something they call prelogue, which says the kind of bad decisions, bad things we do, they don't come out of nowhere. You always get prepared for them bit by bit, and you do have a choice to turn it off. Like the most common classical example is, of course, Crime and Punishment. How you can see that Raskolnikov does not decide to kill the old lady just out of sudden, how he gets prepared for it. But as long as you don't take any actual action, as long as it's only thoughts, you can resist them. You can turn the other way. But the moment he decides to do it, even past that, the moment he takes his axe, or what had he, that moment he can't turn back, because that's when his actions start. Here we have the same. You can decide whether to be developing your anger and wrath, or to let it disappear. So what do you do with your wrath? My wrath did grow, and it's something substantial. It's not abstract. It's a tree which grows inside you. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft, deceitful wiles. So all a tree needs, sun and water. But what kind of sun, what kind of water is it?
Is it like the water of life? Oh, that was my first thought. That water is life, and you can see where I'm going with this.
So that kind of reminds me of the current situation. How to grow panic among people. All you need is just the same stuff. It's like classical recipe here. You water it in fears, you make it scary. And you sun it with soft deceitful wiles. That's all you need. Two opposites contrasting. Then, because you can't come from just one side. If you come from one side, like fear, then people can always retreat somewhere else. But if you're attacking, if you're coming from two sides, from a few sides, then you're limiting the retreat. Or you have a few points of entry. So fears are something that can be used for water. So if you say fear, do you imagine liquid?
Kind of like, not the liquid, but there's this kind of the liquid, the resin, is black, which feels very, so when you feel it on your skin, it feels elastic.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's like a liquid, but it has similarity.
Maybe. So he says, night and morning with my tears. So fears are connected with tears. So we have lots of different tears. We can have tears of joy, tears of relief, tears of pain, tears of sadness. Or when do we have tears?
When the emotions are really, really strong and we just, overwhelmed with them and we just don't know what to do and how to express them and we just can't keep them, pushing down anymore. So they go out as tears.
Aren't tears then a sort of an expression of my anger? Doesn't it really mean that I'm not letting my anger go?
Maybe. So tears is something that comes out of you. And tears in this case, I guess, are like concentrated wrath, concentrated anger. It's like distillation. So it's not really tears, it's distilled wiles.
Okay.
I guess. Night and morning. Again, interesting. Not day and night, which we would expect, but night and morning. Why?
Because it's like two most crucial times of the day, and also it is believed that the major events that happen either at the early morning or in the evening when it's dark.
Yes. So maybe that's because it's before the light time, when you have sunned it with smiles. Maybe it's dark and morning, so he starts at night, and he does it in the darkness first. He starts in the darkness, where nobody can see him shedding his crocodile tears. Night and morning, and then I sunned it. Yeah?
Are they crocodile tears? Crocodile tears are not really sincere tears, but his feeling of anger.
Well, yeah, maybe they're sincere tears, sincerely angry. Yeah.
Sincerely angry. Yeah. So you feel sleepless. You are sleepless if that's what's happening to you at night. And as the morning comes, as the sun rises, you're still with your anger, which grows bigger and bigger.
So we start with water, and we start with night and fears. So fear is strong, and fear is the root. And then on top of fear, you make it stronger. first you need to plant fear, and then you keep it alive by soft, deceitful wiles, apparently. So you have to first of all to be hard, to have fears. At the same time, you should be able to embrace the opposites and come like the sun, because normally the sun is nice. When we think about the sun, we feel positive, except in special contexts, like when it's too hot. But normal reaction of our brain, immediately positive. Here, again, it's a dark sun. It's bright, but it's rotten from inside.
Yeah. Evil under the sun.
Yeah, so it's again like in his other really famous poem, The Sick Rose, and he's like, "Rose, thou art sick," and like there's a worm who came into your heart. So the flower looks beautiful, but inside there's a worm right in the heart. And here, sounded with smiles. So tears and smiles are not opposite here. They're the same. Two sides of one coin. And if you look from a side, you may be fooled. You may think that, smiles are smiles and tears are tears. No, they're the same.
So I'm smiling because I'm thinking of something evil.
Mm-hmm. Or because you want to deceive somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So your smiling is welcoming. So that's basically how lots of not very nice organizations work psychologically. So first they're nice to you. So they let you in, and you feel comfortable because they're nice to you. And then they close the entrance, and you get trapped inside. But first, they have to be nice and soft to you, so you go inside in the first place. So that tree of wrath, a tree of poison grows in water and with sun, grows with opposites feeding it. That's why it's so strong. Then again, if you look at the structure, you can see it is kind of childish, repeating, I was angry, I was angry, I told it not, and. So that, and I did it, and then I did it, and I did it. It's a very simple way of telling it stylistically. Although we do find it in the Bible too, but generally when we read something like that, first of all, our first connection is with children writing. Because that's where you see lots of and then, and. So he tells a really, really simple story. And because he tells it in such a simple way, again, it makes it stronger. Because if the story is deep in itself, then you need nothing else to make it bigger. It's strong as it is. And it grew both day and night till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. Comments?
Well, not a comment, but rather a question.
Okay.
How do you imagine the situation? What is it that you are imagining as you read these lines? What's the image?
Well, he describes it, doesn't he?
Yeah. So is it just someone who is literally given a very bright apple, who holds it now and who is smiling happily, thinking, oh, I've got my hands on a treasure, while in fact it is a poison.
Well, it's only the treasure for... It's a treasure for his foe because he knew it was mine. So he doesn't want the apple itself. He wants to take it because it belongs to somebody else. That's the whole idea. But obviously we know...
He is indeed as evil as I think he or she is.
Well, maybe. So if he wants to steal it, then it's all his own fault and not yours. At the same time, of course, it is your fault as well, because you knew it would happen. It's not random.
If I will, which I
You do.
don't.
You do. But you're free to believe that you don't have a free will. It's okay.
It's not the belief. It's so I speak.
No, I mean, it's just, it's an eternal philosophical question whether you do have your own will and you can make your own decisions, or you do not have it, and each choice and each force in the universe influences you. So in the end, it's not your choice. And philosophical guys from the philosophy, they don't have an agreement yet, and they never will.
They never will. Because they don't have a will.
No, I mean, it's complicated.
It is.
Also, as a comment, when I read the last line, starting with and into my garden soul, I think I thought about that it's not only about some objective event when you defeat your enemy and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
If we take it personally, sometimes, and most of the time, when we have someone who we really, really hate, and we feel so much anger towards him, in the end, he's becoming dead for us. So he's out of our lives, and we don't want to talk about him, see him, have any connection with him. And Blake is talking about my garden. So this is the sun in my garden.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tree in my garden.
Yes.
So maybe he's talking about a garden as his world. And in his world, this guy, this enemy, he's dead for Blake. But he's not dead as a human being.
Mm-hmm. Oh. So, yeah. Okay, so what do we have here? Till it bore an apple bright. So it's like, maybe it's not like the Bible. Maybe it's more like Snow White. Oh, the apple is bright, and it's designed to be bright, shining. So what he does here, he says day and night. And the last word is night, so it turns dark. In the darkness, he says, an apple bright, and beheld it shine. So it shines really bright, because we have established darkness around it. Yeah?
But still, it's deceitful.
Yes. It's, again, it was like somewhere... Douglas Adams in Dirty Gentle's book, which he never finished, and it was like, well, you saw the car and you wanted to buy it because it was designed in such way. So if you didn't want to buy it, then they would take it back and work on it again until you wanted to buy it. So the same with this apple. It's designed to be stolen. We do have a free will, but we need to be keen, because we can be manipulated all the same to use our free will in a not free way, which is a bit different. So if you see an apple bright and your immediate response to it to get it, then again you have your will to follow it or not to follow it.
But then again, you feel angry, and then it's up to you to decide whether you let your anger escape.
Yes.
Whether you let it go and let the person you are angry with know that you are angry with him or with her, or you decide that being angry is something bad. You feel ashamed of this feeling, and you prefer to keep it to yourself.
Well, it could be more than that to it. It's just simplifying it a bit, but yes, you always have that choice.
Yes, but then it means the thing to do is to avoid being angry, which you probably can, which you probably can't.
No.
If you are,
No.
Why not?
Because what does it mean to avoid being angry? If you try to pretend there's no anger, it's not going away. You can ask Freud about it. He knows all about it, apparently. No, you work with it. You go right into it and through it. You live through it. Then you make it harmless.
But wasn't it like living through it in the poem we are discussing?
No. It was in the beginning, I told my wrath did end. Yeah, I told my wrath. I didn't dump it somewhere where nobody could see it. I let it out. I went through it. Here, it's different. Here, he decides to develop it. And is it him deciding, or is it his wrath telling him what to do? Again. Because it's something toxic. We all have something toxic inside us at any stage. And what do? Do we say, no, it's too toxic, if you touch it, you'll be dead? Or do you say, oh, just leave it there, don't touch it? Or do you work with it? Do you start making it pure again and good for living? That's a question here. So anyway, till we bore an apple bright, we know the biggest apple that all people want to have today. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. So again, a very subtle game. He knows. Again, he has his will, but he's too much into it, so it's really easy to predict the probability of his decision. And into my garden stole, when the night had wheeled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foal outstretched beneath the tree. Beautiful. It's fantastic. It's such an amazing poem. It's really... into my garden stole, when the night had wheeled the pole. So we have a territory that is mine, that is not mine. And he decides to go there, the foal. So he intrudes. And it's not always a good idea to come to your enemy's territory. You choose your territory. You make your choice again. He decides he's safe when the knight had wheeled the pole. Fantastic. Again, in the darkness, when nobody's looking, when the knight had wheeled, when it's all really covered, the pole, what's the pole?
Is it about the tree?
What's the pole? Why is it wheeled? Why is it important?
Isn't it something that looks like a tree?
Could be.
You can't see much when there's night, sort of as if it were being wheeled by the night.
So maybe the pole like polar star, maybe the pole like fence, maybe the pole like the tree, but pole is axis, generally speaking. So we have again a marker of kinds, and something that registers alien presence when somebody comes from one side to the other and it's veiled. So it's like security camera which isn't working. The knight had wheeled the pole. In the morning, glad I see. So we have lots of times of day, night and morning with my tears, and then day and night, and now night and morning again. So we go through the night again to the morning. The morning is when things are revealed. So you set up the experiment and you don't look.
Yeah.
And then you do
get
it.
it.
Mm-hmm. In the morning, glad I see. So how are you supposed to feel?
Well, if it's real
If you do something
enemy,
like that.
yeah, if it's real enemy, if he's your enemy and you feel he is your enemy, then it's natural for you to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
When you see your enemy stretched out. If, on the other hand, you think that the feeling of enmity is something that you should avoid, then you would probably not plot against your enemy and you would be ashamed of your happy feelings if something bad happens to your enemy. You wouldn't celebrate it.
Alexandra? You there?
I think, yeah, I'm here. Again. So I feel like if you defeat your enemy or if your enemy is that feeling you feel relief. Either you achieve the goal of defeating your enemy, either you came over your feelings, and now you can just let it go and just, go on.
So what can we...
What? Could you please repeat?
Yeah, what can we say about that character, the I of the poem? Is he a nice guy? What kind of person is he?
I think he's a very good guy. So he had a strong feeling, not very nice, not a nice one, but we all have it. He had it. He let it grow, and it led to some consequences. But in the end, she dealt with it, and there was a new day in his garden, and he could forget about it and move on. So I don't think that he has a strong good or bad personality. He just has both sides, either good or bad.
Sergey, would you like to be friends or foes with that guy?
Neither.
What do you do?
I want to distance myself, if at all possible, from that person.
Now, why?
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 Well, we can't be friends. I don't want to be an enemy of somebody or an opponent of someone. So, and to the possible relationship is answerable.
Okay.
Is it a bad way of dealing with the situation, do you think?
Or are you trying to avoid it? I mean, the real question is, how is it related to us personally?
How do you mean?
How is it related to us personally? Because do we have that guy inside us? Yes, we do. How do we feel about him? And why? Do we feel like we could do the same? Yes,
Well, we could.
we could.
We can try. We could do the same.
So,
Given.
really, what happens here is a test for ourselves. A test for ourselves to see how we react to the story. And then we ask ourselves, why? Do I feel like that guy is great? Do I feel like that guy is horrible? Do I want to distance from him? Because he is not somewhere out there in the poem. He's right inside me. Every person has him inside. Every person has this guy who is happy to see his foes outstretched beneath the tree.
Okay.
Are we friends with him?
Really?
Really?
Well, I'm not so sure about it.
Well, I am. Because we are infinite. We have all sorts of things inside us.
What about children?
Children especially. You don't know children.
Especially children.
You don't know
Okay.
children. You have some idyllic images in your head. If you see any real children, then they have no sense of morality developed that much. So it's much easier, much free with them. It's something that we learn through culture, what is good, what is not good, what's to be ashamed, what's not to be ashamed. They're much more natural in that sense. It's again, a common example is an infant can pee on his father's lap, no problem. But when a person grows up, he or she learns that it's not how you behave, that you're supposed to use toilet. And then people physically can't, well, excuse me for the details, they can't go to the toilet with their pants on. Yeah, there was an experiment. Like people were giving spare trousers, and they like, either you go to toilet wearing these trousers or you just sit here. And nobody could do it. So it's a social thing. Children don't have it. That was like a physical example, but to be or not to be glad.
You proved the point. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, you have children who are not educated enough to be really moral or immoral. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. And in that sense, they don't have this evil guy inside them. Whereas the I in the poem knows that he is doing something bad to the person, something bad to him. And he knows it, and yet still he proceeds further to...
And he's happy about it. He's glad.
And he's happy about it. And he's glad about it.
Maybe that's why we feel a bit uneasy when we read it. Because all our social upbringing says, no, it's wrong. He should be punished. Something horrible should happen to him for that. He can't be glad and not be hit by lightning. His tree should fall on his head. Maybe that's how we feel. But at the same time, there's always two sides, or more. Could be 3, 4, 10. So the other side is we are glad with him. We like the sense of victory. We like to see our foe outstretched.
That's a Superman, an Ubermensch, who is beyond the border, delineating what's good and what's bad. He's a superhuman, and...
No, he's not. He's not beyond what's good and what's bad. He does it, he knows. He knows. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's supposed to do, because he's not doing it to his friend. He's doing it only to his foe, so he's not beyond it. He knows what he's doing. He has a sense. It's not somebody who destroys galaxies for some, cosmic reasons. No.
Well, he trolls people and he enjoys it. Whereas most of us would probably prefer not to enjoy.
Well, if you're doing something, if you're doing something, you may as well enjoy it. Well, anyway, the best bit of it, why he may enjoy it, is because actually it was his foe who went there himself. Nobody said, "Oh, come into my garden, I'll kill you." No, he says, "Go away, it's my garden." And he stole into his garden to steal. So, well, anyway, just wanted to show you this little poem, and you may come back to it later by yourself. It's really good. Here's something for you on the subject. You can watch it later, or you can watch it now. It's like 2 minutes. Okay. Shall we get to the other poem now? Or do you have anything else to say about that one? Any more comments on the tree?
I just wanted to add that I think it's wrong that Sergei said that most of us wouldn't feel that way because, as the most cliche example, when my last relationship ended, they ended really, really bad. And we had a terrible separation. We had a lot of bad emotions towards each other. And for some time, and I mean, when you break up with somebody, you don't wish them all the well in the world. You may grow through it step by step eventually, but at this very moment, you're sad, you're devastated, you feel anger, and you hate this person. And you wish him or her all the worst in the world, that, he or she will be miserable for the rest of his or her days. But it will pass. It will pass eventually if you will do something to this. If you will overcome this emotion and push down
you will never get over them. You should, I just personally think that you should not be ashamed of bad emotions. You should allow yourself to feel them, but you should not feed them to grow into a horrible, evil person who enjoy to watch others suffer.
Well, yeah, I agree. We have all sorts of emotions because we are not robots. That's a good thing, but it should be our emotions and not we emotions humans. Yeah? Because lots of stuff we think of as ours is not really our. Like you say, my emotion, my thoughts, my something. Is it really yours? Or maybe not really.
Yes, it's because you don't have free will.
You don't. I agree, yeah, you don't have free will, so you can't argue. No, we do have free will. We do have free will. But it doesn't mean we're immune to manipulation. We have free will, but it doesn't cancel manipulation. It's two different things. In fact, if you don't have a free will, then you can't be manipulated, is it? Because to be manipulated, you need to have a free will. And since lots of stuff can be used to manipulate us, means we have free will.
Puppets. You manipulate it.
Bad habits.
Of free will.
Bad habits. Bad habits. You can get rid of bad habits if you want to. There's not a single bad habit that you can't get rid of if you want to.
Drug addiction?
Drug addiction including. It's psychological, it's not physiological.
Is it?
It is. You have lots and lots of stories like soldiers given drugs during the war in other countries so they don't go crazy. They never get addicted. They come home, they just drop it. Or look at Keith Richards, who was using all known drugs on planet, and he could drop it anytime. But basically, for statistics, you have the stories of the soldiers, because it is psychological. It's proven a long time ago.
Vietnam syndrome.
Well, anyway, if people can... Okay, we have consciousness, we have mind. That is stronger than body. If you set your mind on anything, you can do it. People can fight illness with their mind alone. There are cases. If you believe that you need doctors and medicine and pills and injections to make you feel better, then that's what you do to yourself. If you really, really know that you don't need it, that all you need is your will, then you can do that. No problem. So, if you have bad habits which you don't like, you can't get rid of it. It's not because you can't get rid of them, that's because you're lazy. That's because you really don't want to get rid of those bad habits. So anyway, what we were talking about is we do have free will, but it does not cancel manipulation, which is why we should be like alert at all times, which is like natural or logical or whatever. Yeah, anything else about the tree?
No.
Okay, then let's talk more about free will in our next poem. So it's not one of the most famous poems, but I think it's quite interesting as well. It doesn't even have a name. How sweet I roamed from field to field, and tasted all the summer's pride, till I the Prince of Love beheld, who in the sunny beams did glide. He showed me lilies for my hair and blushing roses for my brow. He led me through his gardens fair, where all his golden pleasures grow. With sweet May dews my wings were wet, and Phoebus furred my vocal rage. He caught me in his silken net, and shut me in his golden cage. He loves to sit and hear me sing, then laughing sports and plays with me, then stretches out my golden wing, and mocks my loss of liberty. Isn't it sweet?
Oh, yeah.
It is sweet.
Mm-hmm. So what's your impression like?
It's very light.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, let's say, it feels like spring, because we do have this stereotype that love happens at spring, and that at spring the nature awakens. And you do feel awakened, like you just enjoy the moment, you enjoy the nature. I think it's a very sweet and kind poem,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you some kind of an inner light.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up in the golden cage.
Yes. So even though the poem is about your loss of liberty, it's still quite light.
It's still quite light, or maybe it's just deceits us, as the same poet says in his previous poem. It begins with something bright and beautiful, and when it stops, again, it's just as bright as the apple in poem 1, and it is just as misleading.
Mm-hmm. So what makes it light is, of course, that we have all these very nice words like golden. So we have field to field. Fields are nice because they're spacious, they give you space. Summer, we like summer. It's, again, light, bright, warm, nice. Till I the Prince of Love beheld, love, or we like love, who in the sunny beams did glide. So summer, sunny, again, good words. He showed me lilies for my hair and blushing roses for my brow. He led me through his gardens fair, where all his golden pleasures grow. So we have golden, we have summer, sunny, now golden, have images of nature, flowers, that all of that makes us feel really, really good. So basically that's how brain works. Every time you hear or see a positive word connected with life, basically, like golden, sun, nature, etc., it makes you feel good. Every single time, that's how all advertisements are working. It doesn't need to have a meaning, even just the word itself, and it works each time. If you have the words 100 times, it works 100 times. The brain is a bit stupid in that respect. So far we're given little injections of pleasure of these nice words, which makes us really relaxed as we read it. So that's what happens to the narrator. He relaxes. With sweet, again, how sweet I roamed, with sweet my dews, my wings were wet, and Phoebus furred my vocal rage. And then he caught me in his silken net, and shut me in his golden cage. But even here we don't really feel upset, because silken net, it's soft. A golden cage, it's cage, but it's golden again. It's all bright, all golden. So maybe he doesn't worry yet. Maybe he thinks it's a game. He loves to sit and hear me sing. Again, the word love. Hear me singing. Then laughing. Laugh. Sports and plays with me. then stretches out my golden wing, golden again, and mocks my loss of liberty. So nothing extreme, a light touches, but the story itself again, is it light? Is it not light?
It's terrible.
So what happens here? How do we understand it? The plot.
Well, the plot is liberty as we begin, and no liberty, and it stopped as the poem ends.
How it happens?
Golden cake and simple mat, that's what does the trick.
So does it come as a shock, or are we prepared for it? Are we not prepared for it? Do we notice it? We don't really notice it because we still have golden, but golden pleasures become golden cage, and then golden wing.
Because, there's something about silken net, which probably means
Silicon Valley.
Well, and then finally you end up in a golden cage, and even though you've lost all your liberty, you don't, you are mocked by this golden prince for having lost your liberty, for being an easy victim of some sort.
Okay, Alexandra? Comments? No comments?
No, I'm just still, trying to think what you said. I don't see anything not light about this poem, or that there might be, dark moments or dark sides. For me, it's all very summery, shiny. Maybe I just need to look for this a little bit more, so I will get a feeling of two sides.
So maybe what it tells us is the way we get trapped, we don't even notice it. We don't even see it till the last moment. Even then, we don't understand it. Like social media is one example. Maybe.
Social media.
Yes, because again, that's how it's made. So you use it more and more and more, like an addict. That's all they want. People don't even notice. Because that's the idea, that's how it's supposed to work, so that you don't even notice being trapped. Because if you notice being trapped, you walk out. Naturally. Speaking about free will and bad habits. If you know it's bad for you, if you understand it, then you walk out, you stop using it. If you don't really know it, if you don't really understand it, then why would you stop using it? So.
But an interesting theory that probably brings us back to where we started is there can be too much of a good thing. So wine is a good example. It might be nice if you like the taste, and it remains nice if what you only have is a glass or half a glass of wine from time to time, maybe once a month or once a year. But when there's too much of this thing, you get addicted, and then it's much harder for you to break the habit. And I don't really have many examples of the people who manage to break the habit, although I know many people who.
Again, nobody says it's easy. But it's not impossible.
Well, maybe it's not impossible, but that's not the point. So then it means that each and every phenomenon might be good, but when carried to the extreme.
Obviously, it's always the question of measure.
That's...
Radiation is good if it's within your normality. Radiation is good if it's inside a star somewhere. Or water can be deadly if you drown in it. It's all the question of measure, obviously. Here, what happens here? How sweet I roamed from field to field, and tasted all the summer's pride. So he recollects his freedom, roaming from field to field. And then what happens? He is offered something nice, and something which apparently gives him no bonds, or something just light, just for fun. But how it ends? It's just reminded me. Dear Contacti went really crazy. Well, everything's crazy with it. Viral news. So what they do is they have the panic button. They had the panic button, a special virus panic button, so you can see all the news. Oh, I can see my hand behind you. Hello, Margot. Oh, hello. Nice to see you there. Hi.
Where?
Behind you.
Behind me?
Behind you.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, nice to meet you there. Yeah, nice to meet you there too. Well, anyway. And now they had a big button right where you have all the important buttons like news, communities, music, and it was COVID-19. And if you kind of click on it to remove it, it says COVID-19 asks permission to access your account. I say, go away. Who in their right mind says yes to that? The virus asks permission to your account. Who says yes? Not me. I say, go away. Crazy. Well, anyway. So he is free, and then he's offered something to play with. And he thinks it's a game, but it's not a game. Till I, the Prince of Love, beheld. So do we need to be aware, afraid, cautious of the Prince of Love? Or do we think he's a good guy when we meet him?
I don't know.
Well, we don't have any, bad feelings towards him. We enjoyed the summer, we meet him, and we're glad that we met him. And further he discussed this Prince of Love in such high words, with such affection, that I think he mostly admires him.
Yes. So who in the sunny beams did glide? So that Prince of Love is connected with the sun, which makes him kind of nice. Gliding in sunny beams, so he is like an elf, fairy creature. Again, light, nice.
He's not someone who can easily be avoided. So if there's someone who glides in the sunny beams, you can't really walk by without paying any attention to him.
Yeah, and it's a Prince of Love, not a princess, not queen, not king, prince. Why prince?
If we look at mythology, as I always do, we see that Blake will further mention Phoebus And last time this refers to Apollo. And Apollo was considered to be connected with love. He wasn't the god of love, but he had a strong connection to this.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason.
Yeah, maybe.
And again, you might say that it's all about young people. If you're a prince, you're supposed to be young.
Unless you are
old.
Unless you are the Prince Charles.
Thank you. I hope that
I'm so sorry.
this somewhere in the palace. Otherwise, we risk never again being able to enjoy London's fogs and smogs and whatever. They'll just say, no, we can't let you in. It's because of the virus. But it won't be because of the virus. It's going to be because of the prince. The thing is that maybe it describes everyone's feelings of love first class, maybe when there's this bright prince in the sunny beams, and it all begins as a happy story, and as it develops, you suddenly discover that you can't leave without that person, that person has placed you inside that golden cage, and you can't really escape. Or maybe you can.
Maybe you can.
It's a form of addiction, and you can get rid of this just as you would get rid of other addictions. Again, if you have some positive examples of people who manage to get rid of their addiction.
So again, to me, it's a really, maybe not serious, but important poem, because again, it shows you how alert you should be. If you want to be free, then you should really, really look out and be aware of all the seemingly innocent toys offered to you.
Yeah, but then it means you're always on guard, and then it's what it does to you, it disables you. You can no longer trust people because you are on your guard. You can't really trust these.
Of course you can. You trust yourself. That's all. If you trust yourself, then you know when to trust and when not to trust people. I'm not saying all people are trustworthy, obviously not. But obviously there are lots of good people too. And you just, I don't know it.
How can you trust yourself?
Hey?
How can you trust yourself?
Easy peasy.
How?
Easy.
Easy? How?
You just do.
Okay.
How can you not trust yourself? You're the only person close enough to yourself.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why I
So,
can't really trust myself. I know too
even
much.
if you get bad advice from yourself, so you don't trust yourself, then maybe it's not a bad advice after all. As I say, as long as you feel like it's the right thing that you're doing, then as long as you're not hurting anyone, obviously, then it doesn't matter if it looks wrong or stupid. It means that's what you're supposed to be doing. Because we never have the big picture. We never know where it's leading. And if it looks stupid at that moment, doesn't mean it's bad. Who cares what it looks like? If you feel like buying a house and then only to discover that it was all a fraud and you just wasted 5 billion or something, then it was supposed to happen. If you feel like you should take cooking courses and learn to cook biscuits, even if you're never going to use it in practice, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. Who cares what it looks like? Anyway, but we are straying a bit from the subject.
Yeah. But this sounded nice.
What did you say?
I'm attracted to biscuits.
Oh, attracted to biscuits?
So it worked as magic for me. It works like these golden beams of sunlight.
Yeah,
biscuits.
Yeah, maybe. So he showed me lilies for my hair and blushing roses for my brow. So we're given nice things and biscuits. We're given biscuits. We're given lilies and roses if that's what we need. And we're given biscuits if that's what we need. So again, lilies for my hair, roses for my brow. Lilies and roses, really classical. White and red. He led me through his gardens fair. And he's like, starts with little. Here's lilies for you. There's roses for you. And here's a garden. And now he led me through his gardens fair. That's the moment when he enters the, he doesn't know it, but enemy's territory. His gardens, not the narrator's gardens. So we have fields opposed to gardens. Yeah, I roamed from field to field, and now he's in a garden. It's not his place. The fields are open, gardens are secluded. And it's like a labyrinth, where all his golden pleasures grow. Again, come with me into my cave, it's full of treasures. So do you follow? You meet someone nice, who offers you something nice, gives you something for free at first, something little for free, and he says, come with me, I have more. It doesn't have to be a person, again, obviously. But do you follow?
Maybe I didn't, but that's only speaking about me. Maybe I have to admit that I do.
Well, we all do. We all really want to follow it because it's natural. We like to have something nice and for free, except that it's never for free. Yeah? Well, all his golden pleasures grow.
There's something they used to say. Maybe if you don't follow the person who shows how nice he or she is to you, who provides some lilies to decorate you, if you don't trust that person, then it probably means, as these philosophers say, that you don't really begin by trusting everybody, which means that there's some sin inside you which prevents you from trusting people. So lack of trust in the others to these philosophers means there's something in you which is evil. Something to prevent.
It's not about not trusting anybody at all. It's about knowing where to follow and where to stop. It doesn't say that you should trust everybody you meet. It doesn't say you should not trust everybody you meet. Again, if you're given a choice, then you make the choice. If you have a choice to put your hand into fire or not to put your hand in the fire, then I would expect you to say, I would not put my hand into fire each time, no matter how often you're offered it. still, you can always decide, oh well, I want to try it. Yeah.
No,
But you shouldn't. But still, 1,000 times you're asked to make a choice to put your hand into fire or not to put your hand into fire, and all 1,000 times you say no, thank you.
Yeah.
Same here.
But the problem with this example is that the consequences are immediately obvious. Not because we have tried lots of time putting our hands into fire, although that might eventually happen to us.
Again.
But we know what happens when something is put into fire. Whereas this story, the story told by Blake here, has no obvious consequences.
No, but he could know. He could be suspecting it because he is offered to go into gardens, which is not his place. Alexandra?
Okay, my personal opinion is that when we discussed the last point today, I said that you don't choose with whom you fall in love. So we don't choose these people, we just do. It just happens. So you're saying that we shouldn't trust anyone we met, and we don't see that we tricked, that we trapped. We just see it at the very last moment. And it just sticks in my head because when I remember my strongest emotions connected with love, I mean, you're right, that you realize it at the very end, and sometimes you just need the whole time, or maybe you just realize at the very end that this person treats you not nicely, but throughout this time, when you have these emotions, you just fly. You feel, roses around you blush, as Blake writes. You just see you can just see the world in these golden colors, in these shiny colors, and I'm just thinking that maybe this exact poem is not about love of two people, but about love for the love and emotion. Because I've met a bunch of people who's in love not with their partner, but who's in love with the idea of love.
Well, that's what usually happens, I would say.
Not usually, but I met them, and it's just interesting how it all happens in their head, and they feel so miserable without love, so they just keep
falling in love with random people.
Could you elaborate, please? Because that's something, as Margaret, you say, that's something that happens to lots of us, being obsessed with the idea of love rather than the person, the carrier of that feeling.
I guess ultimately, when we think we love, it's a small love, not capital L love, then what happens is we fall in love with ourselves in the other person. I guess that's what happens. So we start projecting, we start seeing what is there, obviously, but we start exaggerating it and seeing only that. You know how it happens when in concerts you have a band which isn't very good, but then they start playing a cover of some famous song, and suddenly everybody listens. That's because we have the memory of the good song, of the proper music, and when they play it, they may not play it well, but we remember the good version, and so our memory is imposed on it. So it's the same here, I suppose. I might be wrong. I mean, if you keep falling in love with different people, and then you look back at them and you see they all have something in common in their character, and that is something what reflects yourself. So what does it mean that, oh no, he's or she is a wrong person for me? That's when you realize that it is a different person and not yourself, which is something we hope to the last, that there is somebody who is myself, who can understand me. No, they might be like me in that respect and this respect, but ultimately they're a universe on their own. They're completely alien. No matter how close we might be emotionally or in character, still any other person is alien to me. The opposite is also true, that we all are connected, we all share something which makes all of us human, or conscious beings. The opposite is true. But also it's true that everybody is an island. A man is an island, or whatever Don says. I guess. I might be wrong. So
is it something you feel bad about?
No. Why?
No.
It's good.
Well, it's good, unless you want to understand the other person, the person you love, and then...
You can understand the other person to the extent that you understand yourself. Because, again, we all share humanity. We're not that different, and at the same time we are complete aliens. So to the extent that we are all the same, we can understand each other. To the extent that we are all aliens, we can't. Because people are more complicated than 1 and 0 and black and white, or A and B logic. It has multiple connections and multiple sides.
Yes, there are multiple connections.
It's more like Lewis Carroll's logic than either A or B.
Okay. And I think have we lost connection to Alexandra? Alexandra, are you here?
Alexandra! We're losing you. Come back to us. Was it too much? Was it too much rubbish for today? Oh, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I just
Welcome back.
my headphones, they turned off, so for some reason also the call ended.
We just thought maybe that was too much rubbish for today for you. Okay, so we have gold and gold and gold, fairy gold.
We also have glide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in terms of sound, it kind of cooperates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gold, guilt, say. So what happens? He lures him into his garden, into his territory by giving him little presents and promising him more. If sweet made use, my wings were wet.
And make it up.
So is it good or bad? With sweet made use, my wings were wet. Is it good or bad? Is it good or bad to have your wings wet?
Things were wet. Well, it's sweet. And by being sweet, it ends up being really good.
Mm-hmm. So now we see that the character is not really human, but who is he? A fairy, a bird, a butterfly, angel, somebody free, and somebody who has wings, maybe a poet, or maybe it's just his freedom, wings of freedom. But he's not he's not a human, has wings. He's really, really free. He could fly because he had wings, but now his wings are wet. Can you fly if your wings are wet?
No, you can't.
No, you can't. But with sweet made use, my wings were wet.
Yeah. But
So maybe he's sitting on the grass.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's still like a game to him.
Yeah, or maybe it's some doctor's advice. Don't sit on wet grass in May. It can be hazardous to your health.
Well, it doesn't really say that.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that. So it's not just something. So it's something nice. It's something nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's something really. It's something really nice. I'm sorry, I can't remain.
I have that all day long, 24/7. Now you know why I'm a happy person.
Yeah. Well, again, there's something nice, something sweet, and as some people say, sugar can kill you. This sweetness becomes really dangerous before either the angel or the bird or the fairy noticed it, and my wings are wet. I can no longer fly, and I am.
So technically I'm free, but in reality I'm already trapped. I just don't know it yet. I don't realize it yet. I still think it's a game. So again we have water, made use, wet, and then we have sun, Phoebus. And Phoebus furred my vocal rage. Oh, what does that mean?
With two of you, it's even nicer, yeah.
Here, somewhere, where?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a bit private, I know. Well, anyway, let's get back to business before it's too late.
Before the clock strikes midnight.
Okay, so he did something to his voice. He made him sing. So now you can sing for me. Now you're a singer. Which is again is good. Singing is nice.
Singing is nice, but again, it's the song that can lure you into a trap.
But it's his voice, his own voice. So before he was free, but he couldn't sing. All his treasure was his freedom. He didn't need to sing maybe. And now he's transformed. He's not free, but he can sing. Now he has a good voice now. And it's Phoebus, furred my vocal rage. He caught me in his silken net and shut me in his golden cage.
Yeah, and the game is over.
Mm-hmm. So he really caught him before the net.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now.
Yeah. And again, it seems there's no escape possible. You realize that you are trapped there.
Mm-hmm.
You may remain in this golden cage till you die, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because so much, I think what makes it outstanding is that it's so evasive. You can't really attack it, because it's not just a cage. It's not just a prison, it's a golden cage.
So what's the difference?
It evades you. It's the enemy that always evades you. You don't fight your enemy because you can't really see the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is golden beams, sunshine, sweet songs.
Well, you can't much see sunshine when you're in lockdown.
Okay.
Well, anyway. So golden is always connected to the fairy world. Whenever we see something that is golden, it's like related to the other world, the fairy world, magic. So here the golden cage, as opposed to I roamed from field to field, now I sit in a golden cage. And we have lots of his. My hair, my brow, I don't own anything. I wander free. I have no possessions. But that guy, his garden, his golden pleasure, his net, his cage. As for me, I only have what I have on me. My hair, my brow, my wings, my voice, and that's all. I don't have things. He has lots of things. Now he has him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, caught and shot. Oops.
Yeah.
He loves.
Like Midas, everything he touches turns into gold.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's the touch of death each and every
Well,
time.
in a way, yes, in a way. Maybe. So he loves. He's a prince of love and he loves. But it's not that sort of love. Because he doesn't love anyone. He just loves his games. So even though he's a prince of love, he's still really selfish. It's not the prince of love because he loves everybody. He only loves himself. He loves his games. Yeah.
He loves his game. He loves his possessions.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very much material.
So what kind of love is it? That prince of love, what kind of love is it? He's called the prince of love. What kind of love is it?
It's a sort of love that manifests itself in something material.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these dealers and all that stuff mentioned in the very first stanza are, in fact, material things. Are worldly things, so to speak. And there's nothing about his soul, there's nothing about his emotions, except for the fact he doesn't really feel sorry for me because I'm in the golden cage. He mocks me. So
well, obviously, if he felt sorry for you, he wouldn't have caught you in the first place, because it's what he did. Again, Glad I see my friend outstretched beneath the tree. Here the same. You yourself come to the enemy's territory. You yourself walk into the trap. And why would he be sorry for you? No reason. It's a different kind of thinking, different kind of living. He loves, but he loves to sit and hear me sing. He doesn't love anyone, he loves himself again. Selfish. And maybe love is selfish, is that kind of love. Because it's not real love. Maybe real love doesn't give you lilies for your hair only to wet your wings and to put you into a golden cage. That is not love.
Again,
it's what people think is love, but really it's just being selfish.
Well, maybe, and again, this is something material that is easy to calculate.
Mm-hmm.
You can really measure it. You can define its boundaries. But the love you mean probably implies there are no boundaries. Again, it escapes our attempts to define it, because exactly the moment we define it, it turns into something material, something that is possible to calculate,
Mm-hmm.
and something that, by the very meaning of the word, is not really love.
Alexandra?
Just a couple of comments. If this guy, the hero point, is a fairy, then to him it is a real love. Because fairy, they can't feel human emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and for them, originally, love was a game. It was a game to find a human and bring it to another world, and to have him as a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And as for gold, you said that when we see gold, we think about the magical gold. I just wanted to say that fairy was afraid of gold, so it was like, a silver bullets for werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a cage and he's in the golden cage, it means that he can touch it, or otherwise it would kill him. So maybe,
Could be.
If you will look at it from the mythological perspective, maybe it has a sense that if he will feel human love, he will die, because it is not meant for him. If we want to look at it from the mythological side and we'll look from the human side, then what? Then, as you said, it is about not being loved. It is about what people feel is love. And to me, when you feel loved and you're in love, you're happy. Well, obviously you're happy because you have other things in your blood, and you have someone you like.
Mm-hmm.
The point is that sometimes when you love somebody, you hurt that somebody, because if you don't bring anything good with your love, you don't give with your love. You just take and take and take.
Is it
And
love?
if we talk
Again.
about it, it's a nice emotion.
Emotion.
You,
Love
and
is not
sometimes-
emotion. Real love.
Okay, but some people, they have some problems, let's call it that, and when they love, they just don't realize that their love is hurting somebody, it's hurting the object of their feeling. But I agree with you that it is not a real love. It is one-sided affection, maybe obsession, something from this field.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So he captures that guy. He makes him sing. Cause what is the common image? Oh, you're in love. You're writing bad poetry and you're singing. If that guy is a poet, his wings are wet, and he sits in the cage, and he can't really write or sing anything sensible now. He just has to sing for this prince, the Prince of Love, so-called. He loves to sit and hear me sing, then laughing, sports and plays with me. So we have this image of love as a spoiled boy who captures you like boys capture little animals or beetles, maybe. How in Tom Sawyer, how they catch a beetle and keep him in a matchbox and play with them but never let them go. So that's how we see love in this poem. Merciless and selfish and childish in a way. Then stretches out my golden wings. So again, golden. So did he have golden wings in the beginning, or did they become golden because he's in a golden cage? Did he have, maybe he never had wings in the beginning when he was wandering in the fields, because he was not flying, he was wandering in fields. Then, as he goes into the fairy garden, then he has wings, and when he is captured, he has golden wings. So there's some kind of evolution on his part as well. So he stretches out my golden wing. What does it mean? What does it imply?
I can no longer fly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if you are a being with wings, then who can stretch out your wing? Anybody? Any stranger?
No, not really. Someone who patronizes you, maybe, in sort of way.
So your wing is something really personal, really private. A wing is something delicate, especially if we think about insect-like wings, or not so much bird wings, maybe. So if somebody can stretch out your wing, means he has complete control over you. Has control over your wings, over your liberty, freedom, inspiration, whatever it might be. What does it mean, stretches out my golden wing? If it's inspiration, then maybe it's like poking you, go write another bad poem about love, maybe. And mocks my loss of liberty, because mocking is what fairies are good at. So maybe he thinks it's love, but maybe it's not really love. Maybe it's just that the fairy doing its job.
Yeah, laughter against love.
Then of course we have some really nice sounds here as we read it. A loss of liberty, for one example. Okay. What else do we have in here?
We have gold, gilt, gold.
Mm-hmm. So really golden.
Really
golden.
Gold.
So we don't have a happy end, or do we? Is it like the end of the story?
It's like an open end.
Sorry, yeah.
Alexander?
I just said that it's like an open end. You know, like some movies, in the end, you have the scene, and you can decide whatever happens next. It's up to the audience. I kind of had the same feeling. We can continue to now heads however we like.
So how is the last stanza different from the previous three? What's the big difference?
It's it's a very Peter line, if you read it, because he, in the end, in the beginning, he's trying to be happy, he's trying to see something good around him, like he notices the beauty of the nature, he talks about some pleasures, but in the end, he makes a conclusion, and I don't think that he sees a way out.
So in the beginning, he's
free.
But doesn't have any aim. He's just roaming, tasting all the summer's pride, has no particular business. In the end, he has a particular business, but maybe it's not what he imagined where he would end up. Okay, but what is a really big and obvious difference, or the last stanza from the previous poem?
Liberty, no liberty?
No.
No.
Time.
Time.
So the first three stanzas are in past tense. The last one is present. Present simple. So what happened before is a short story, it just happened. But what we have in the last stanza is a permanent situation. It's something that doesn't change, something that is constant, because now that's how things are. When do we use present simple? We use it to show something regular, something that is always true.
Yeah.
So now he loves to sit. So that is his routine now, and all that happened before is no more than a memory.
Yeah. Story's background.
And maybe he sits like, how on earth did I end up like that? Oh yeah, I remember. So that's why it feels like he can't see a way out. Because when you come to present simple, you're out of time. Present simple means you're out of time, you're not in time.
Yeah. It's something timeless, and again, as far as I understand, many linguists today just say that present tense is something that is permanent and true, and that is really, as you say, timeless, something that does not really express time relationship, unlike other tenses in the English language.
Okay. Anything else here?
Water says.
Alexandra?
No, I think we said everything. We looked at it from different sides, and when I read it first before the session, I haven't noticed any of these little issues. But now I just, it's like my bones just crashed down, because I wouldn't in 1,000 ages look at this poem from this side. So now I'm just a little bit confused.
Well, that's the whole point.
I mean, it's a good thing, but I'm just a little bit shocked, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's good, because that's what happens. It's the whole idea. You bring different people together, and you have different points of view. That's where you have the fun, because that's how you establish. You need to have more than one point of view to really see something. Phew! And let's just say that it wasn't like the Prince of Love came to him. He saw the Prince of Love, and apparently he was curious and walked there out of curiosity. And then he showed me lilies for my hair and blushing roses for my brow. He saw him gliding somewhere on sunbeams, and he came to say hello. That's how it ended. So sometimes you can be too curious. Okay? So that's 2 poems today, and both of them have an offer. Both of them have an offer to the reader to reflect. They're not that different if you look into the heart of it. Because in both poems we have something offered and accepted with some, let's say, unfortunate results. Or some kind of... But the question is, again, how is it related to us and how do we feel about it and why? And that's like your homework every time we read something. Because it doesn't have to be public, but it's good if you just slow down and do it. Okay, then we can finish. Okay. Nice to see you. That was good 2 hours.
I think we're recommended for that session.